Who in this room is really, really excited about this year's federal election? I mean, so excited that it's the most important day of the year for you. You're going to cook a special meal, you're going to have the family over, you're going to put on your best clothes. No? Okay. Who in this room is really terrified of this year's federal election? I mean, really terrified, frightened for your life. Okay, one or two. Let me try this one. Who in this room is really frightened of our Prime Minister? What about his main opponent? How about the leader of the Greens Party? No? Okay. Well, we're an apathetic lot, aren't we? But actually, we're representative of most people who live in democracies around the world. Here in Australia, over 1 million Australians, most of them young, haven't enrolled to vote. 41% of Australians don't trust the government to do the right thing, and that's about the same proportion of other democracies around the world. But I'd like to suggest to you that these levels of apathy about politics are actually one of democracy's greatest achievements. You just told me that no one's terrified of Kevin Rudd or Tony Abbott. We may be a bit sickened by them, exasperated absolutely, but terrified no. And the reason for that is that every 3 years we get to sack one of them and hire the other. Or rehire one and say to the other one, don't call us, we'll call you. Or maybe just don't call us. So in many ways, our apathy about politics and politicians of all stripes is one of democracy's greatest achievements. Because what democracy has done is to take passion out of politics and in its place put process. In the place of passion, we've got now the instantly anaesthetic Rudd speak, the infantile antics of our national parliament, the mindlessly dull processes of federal budgets and estimates hearings. We in this room are the heirs of a 500-year campaign to get passion out of politics. It all began with our language. Democracy didn't start to appear in England until the English language changed into the precise, passionless, emotionless, stiff upper lip. Oh, sorry. I've gone past myself. But passion in politics is good, isn't it? It's good to be passionate about things. Well, no, I don't think so. Passion in politics can get people killed. Passion in politics can lead to great famine. Passion in politics can lead to the destruction of great works of art and culture. So we are the heirs of a 500-year campaign to get passion out of politics. And we have this stiff upper lip language that helps us get the passion out of politics, because you had to have a language where people could disagree with each other without one or both of them ending up in a coffin before you could get democracy. Now, I would argue the central symbol of getting passion out of politics is the election. Think about it. An election is essentially a regular and highly stylised political revolution. Think about our last federal election. The Australian people rose up and overthrew their government. But there was no blood in the streets, there was no rioting, there was no storming of barricades, there weren't even any grubby hippies in bad t-shirts. Wait, scrub that last bit. And so we found a way to tame and regularise political revolutions and make them really, really boring. We've taken passion out of politics and in its place we've put process. And it's process that builds roads, bridges and electricity grids. It's process that makes the trains run on time, except here in New South Wales. So maybe we've become so apathetic about politics though that we've failed to notice the silent revolution that's bringing passion back into politics. Now, what's the agent of this silent revolution bringing passion back into politics? Is it a deeply charismatic politician? Is it a new ideology or religion? No, it's technology. This is the agent that's bringing passion back into politics. I'm talking about communication technology, the synergy of old and new communication technology that allows people to interact as never before. I'm talking about the 346 million blogs around the world. I'm talking about the 175 million Facebook users around the world. I'm talking about the 75 million Twitterers and rising fast. I'm talking about reality TV, which twins an old communications technology, television, with a new communications technology, the mobile phone, with its 4.1 billion users around the world. And it's not just in rich, complacent democracies like Australia that this silent revolution is occurring. Over 2/3 of all mobile phone users are in the developing world. Cable TV has a 95% penetration rate in the Arab world. And so, as long ago as 2003, we had the phenomenon of Superstar, which was the American Idol spin-off in the Arab world. The finalists in Superstar were a Lebanese woman, a Syrian man, and a Jordanian woman. When the Lebanese contestant was voted off, there was rioting in the streets of Beirut, or should I say more rioting than usual in the streets of Beirut. In Syria, the phone company put up billboards and dedicated phone lines to allow Syrians to vote for their contestant. In Jordan, the king ordered the army to vote for the Jordanian contestant. Now remember, this is Syria, a military dictatorship, and Jordan, a sheikhdom. No one votes in these places, and yet over 30 million people watched the final of Superstar, and 4.8 million people finally voted for it. But what's all this got to do with politics? The real effect of the new media has been on people's expectations. People, whether they live in democracies, dictatorships or sheikdoms, are now increasingly expecting their opinions to matter in ways that are changing the way that governments think and act. This is the silent revolution I'm talking about. Because reality TV, blogging and the like not only leads people to expect their opinions to count, it increasingly is making them opinion entrepreneurs. It's the belief that their opinions matter that lead people to spend large amounts of their time blogging, tweeting and posting on the net with no prospect of monetary reward. It's the belief that their tastes are important that makes people put some of their most personal details on social networking sites. It's the thrill of being part of a story as it unfolds that helps people endure endless series of Big Brother and Survivor and So You Think You Can Dance. Now we're seeing the way that this new culture of interactivity is starting to affect politics. We wouldn't have a President Obama without the internet and the mobile phone. We wouldn't have a Prime Minister Rudd without morning TV and Facebook. These two politicians use the new media to circumvent, or more accurately, to burst through their own party's nomination processes and then to totally dominate their opponents in the election campaign. But Rudd and Obama weren't the only ones to have woken up to the possibilities of the new media. What made Rudd and Obama so successful was that they found for themselves the secret of using this new media most effectively. That secret is that the new media most favours causes that are encapsulated in simple messages. Why? Because in the vast jungle of the internet and the Twitter sphere, people will only invest time in issues and causes that arouse their interest and their passion. And so Rudd and Obama found the ideal cause encapsulated in a simple message, and that cause was change. Not just change of government, change of politics. What both promised to change was the entire system of national politics that had so turned people off. What Obama was able to do with the new architecture of interactivity was stretch the act of voting from a chore that takes a few seconds on an allotted day to a continual engagement that lasted weeks or even months. Now, a continually activated support base is a potent political tool. It allows a politician to totally dominate the process of election, and leaders keep their followers mobilised by promising change, big change. And what they promise to change are the processes that have attracted such bad press. I'm talking about core and non-core promises. I'm talking about vested interest, federal-state blame games, bureaucratic bungling, partisan division. And Rudd and Obama found these causes and they used them to great effect. And the audacity of their victory convinced each of them that they were the agent of change. They were the agent of great change. They promised to harness the will of the people, that authentic democratic force, to cut through and bring about real transformation. Well, it sounds good, doesn't it? Finally, technology is allowing us to construct direct democracy rather than just having to vote for venal and self-interested politicians. Well, as the old witticism goes, it might work in practice, but it doesn't work in theory. Because the problem with the politics of passion, with its big causes and its simple messages, is it leads to overreach. The politics of passion only works with big causes that inspire hope or anger. Happy voters don't mobilise, unhappy ones do. And so leaders overreach because they have to find big causes to keep their voters mobilised. And supporters invest great hope in leaders to deliver on their promises. And so we've got to the stage where you inevitably get to where the politics of passion runs into the realities of the political process. Last June in Tehran, we saw a genuine political movement motivated by the politics of passion and the new media. And it ran headlong into a very old reality of political process, the process of brutal repression. Last December in Copenhagen, we had another example. Copenhagen was never meant to be a make or break meeting. It was meant to be a train stop on the way to a final agreement on climate change. But along the way, a popular movement started that was motivated by the Make Poverty History campaign. And suddenly there was enormous pressure, popular pressure on politicians to do a real deal, do the final deal at Copenhagen. Even governments, this is the British Environment Minister of the time, Ed Miliband, were encouraging more popular pressure on them. And so we got Copenhagen, an unholy mix of Woodstock and Bretton Woods. You had thousands of politicians, bureaucrats, scientists and activists advocating hundreds of different positions and all trying to outdo each other with the politics of the celebrity stunt. It was going to be hard enough to get agreement just among the two biggest emitters in the world, America and China. How hard was it going to be then to get agreement among all of these hundreds of positions? So we have the politics of passion driving out process from politics and coming into conflict with process. But the big question is whether the politics of passion are going to help or hinder us in dealing with the big challenges we face. And then there are issues about how the new media is going to affect our political processes. On the one hand, the fact that people can choose where they get their news from and audiences are chased with ever more extreme opinions could divide our electorate even more profoundly along partisan lines than it already has been. On the other hand, there are positive possibilities as well. The new media are bringing young people back into politics. The new media are making authoritarian regimes much more responsive to their own people. My hope is that we can bring about a positive synergy between the new and the old politics. We can clean up the old politics by using the new politics, and we can bring about a real improvement in the politics of the 21st century. Thanks very much.